Aloha, welcome to 15-ish minute coffee chat. This week, Selena of Hauoli, Socially Inspired, and Anna of NomadAbout host Camille Schrier, Miss America 2020.
What? Miss America 2020. Not much more needs to be said about that, right? Like it kind of makes its own big statement right then and there.
Yeah. No, I dig this person. I mean, fun. Yeah, all the things. All the things.
We're super excited to have her on today. I mean, who thought a year ago when we started this little venture that by December of 2020, especially after this year, that we would have Miss America 2020, Camille Schrier, on our show? Like, that's super cool. You know?
Yeah. Like, literally, it started like this. This was our Facebook Live. I don't know if Camille would have came on if we were like this, but it was you holding up your Facebook because we couldn't connect, and then we talked like this on your Facebook, and that's
who would have thought?
There's a little production going on in our tiny little space on the interweb on Facebook.
Right, exactly.
Okay, before we jump into Camille, I just want to thank Jordan Blair that joined us on Monday. He was hysterical, and I love that he brought his Mandalorian mask on, and I think it just made for the best coffee cup selfie forever. You know,
I loved it. I love that he had, first of all, that he has a Mandalorian helmet, but second, that he wore it on the show. Like, that was pretty clever.
I know.
That was super funny.
Yeah, I did. I geeked out a little bit. Like, I'm not I love Star Wars for all the memories that I have of it, but I was like, I felt good that I knew, I know about the mask. I know about the story. I know.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway,
well, aside from that, though,
I love Friday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But aside from that, just even what Jordan is doing, right? So he's got his passion project, Wherein, and it's just so fascinating that he's basically just whatever he loves in that moment is what he's going to share with the world. And I just thought that was so unique and different.
Yeah. And when you think about it, this little show of ours is our passion project. Totally. You know what I mean? Because and I love I love all the people it's allowed us to be able to connect with, and especially for today's guest. I don't know. Every guest is amazing, but I'm just excited today that we were able to have Camille on. So because we're on first name basis with her, we don't say Miss Schrier, we're like Camille.
Yeah, like this.
Oh my gosh, we're ridiculous. We are.
Well, tell us what our topic is today, Selena, and we'll hop right in and get her introduced and bring her on, because that's what people are watching here today for, right?
Yes. Okay, here's our wonderful little graphic, but our topic today is Miss America 2020, Camille Schrier, more than just a crown. And I think I'm just going to go into why we picked this topic. I know that's not part of our little, but we got to spend some time with her, and in my past when I was in Hawaii, I had to work with a lot of celebrities, and hands down, Camille probably has this, right? There's those ratings where you put on how human people are, and Camille was 100% number one. There's so many things that she could have done, and she was I don't know. It's I'm a 45-year-old that I want to be like her when I grow up. Do you know what I mean? Just good all around. Yeah. And so when Anna and I were deciding on the topic, I'm like, I think that's part of the stigma, right? It's just you think you're one thing, but you don't realize that there's this whole other amazing being, and you miss out on it if you allow where you think, oh, she has a crown, and that you put this thing on it, but it's man, if that's the only way you thought, you would have missed out on this amazing human that you got to interact with. And I know everybody that she hung out with in our Runway of Hope group just absolutely loved her, not because she's Camille Schrier, Miss America. They're just oh, she's also I know we could go on and on and on. Camille's come on, you guys, stop it. Anyway, okay.
Yeah. Well, let me read her bio. Let's bring her in.
I'll bring that bio.
One of these words I'm really hoping I pronounce correctly, but we'll see. We'll see how I do here.
Yeah.
So look at this gorgeous woman, first of all. Amazing. So Camille Schrier, 24, grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, before moving to Virginia to pursue her undergraduate degrees. In 2018, Camille graduated with honors from Virginia Tech with a dual Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry and another in systems biology, and is currently pursuing a doctor of pharmacy at Virginia Commonwealth University. So super smart here. In June of 2019, Camille was named Miss Virginia after breaking tradition to perform the catalytic decomposition of hydrogen peroxide as her onstage talent. Her unique talent
glad you're reading her bio.
Right? Her unique talent performance and her focus on women in STEM has sparked a very positive reaction of inclusivity for the program as a whole. Camille's story has been shared with hundreds of children and viewed by millions. She can be seen on national and international media outlets, including The Today Show, Talk Stoop, CNN, BBC, The Kelly Clarkson Show, CBS This Morning, Inside Edition, The Weather Channel, Southern Living, Canada's CTV, German's RTL, and many more, including now the 15-ish minute coffee chat.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we could read, she really, and she's young. So I can only imagine how much more greatness is going to come.
I know.
From, what Camille's going to put out into the world. Like, seriously. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, hold on. Just a second. I got a couple more things to say about her. Yeah. Okay. So December 19th, 2019, Camille earned the job of Miss America 2020 after competing live on NBC from Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. A certified naloxone, I hope I'm saying that right, naloxone trainer in the city of Richmond, Schrier will use the Miss America national recognition to promote her social impact initiative, Mind Your Meds, drug safety and abuse prevention from pediatrics to geriatrics. Most recently, Camille was awarded the Engineering Champion Award by the Pi Sigma Rho National Sorority for her work in promoting women in engineering and technical fields. Camille will travel over 300 days this year to share her message and advocate for change. In addition to her passion for science and drug safety, Camille has battled body image issues. As a young woman who previously battled an eating disorder, Camille chose to compete in Miss America 2020 because of the redirection from physical appearance to social impact. A doctor of pharmacy student, certified naloxone trainer, Camille's year of service is dedicated to reducing opioid abuse, medication errors, and the associated mortality of both by educating across communities and demographics from pediatrics to geriatrics. Okay, now let's bring her in, this amazing woman. Yay!
Hey!
Hi, Camille. We're so excited to see you today.
I'm excited to see you too. And honestly, you guys have hyped me up so much. I mean, I need you guys to be my cool woman hype crew for the rest of my life now.
We would actually probably volunteer for that job because that is one thing that is incredibly easy to do. Is hype you up.
Hopefully I can live up to it all now.
Oh my gosh. Camille, literally, I can't even, I'm stumbling for words. No, you are literally a wonderful person, seriously. And thank you for coming on, especially with a very busy schedule, and it's the holiday season. So thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, wait, I want to just pop in. There's a couple of people that want to say hi to you.
Hi.
Julie.
Miss Julie, we love her. Oh my gosh.
Heather. Right?
Oh my God.
And then we have Mel.
All of our friends.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I really do feel like we're all friends now. We spent so much time together throughout the Runway of Hope process. But that's one of the really cool things about my job is that I really get to know the people that I work with through my role as Miss America. And that's something that I've definitely focused on, because it's one thing if you just show up to an event and do your job and then leave, but you miss out on the opportunity to get to know all of these people who have incredible stories. And so I've definitely focused on that, and it's made my year. Even, you read in that bio that I was supposed to travel for 300 days. That didn't happen. Even where I really get to go and see people and work with people in person now, I just treasure that. So I'm really grateful to have been able to work with you all, especially because I finally got to, go somewhere. We've all kind of been cooped up. We got to do that in person, and My year has changed, but that's a whole other story.
We get into just a tiny little bit, because honestly, I don't know what I was expecting when we did have a chance to get to know you. But that very first Zoom call, I walked away from it saying, not what I expected. Love this girl. Hilarious. She's so funny.
Mhm.
Like somebody I would want to hang out with, like sit down, have a cup of coffee with, kick back, and then having you in my home and watching you lay on the floor and love on my dog. Like it just like solidified that whole experience of real person with a very unique, special, exciting opportunity in her life. And so, yes. Anyway, we need to do our coffee cup selfie. Otherwise, we'll start talking and we'll never remember to do it. So you got to pull up your little coffee cup. We're going to take a picture together.
1, 2, 3. Yay. We did it. We did it.
Hopefully everybody watching managed to get their coffee cup selfie in with Miss America there.
I mean,
Miss America coffee, so just saying.
I love it too. Okay, so let's move into our mental health barista question. I'm going to have Anna explain what, no. So we had, I'm sorry, Camille. It's like, my first cup of coffee has not kicked in.
I get it.
Yet. You know what I mean? But okay, so we had our first guest this season on, who is a cousin and a family member. Well, obviously a cousin and family member are the same thing. But she is a licensed, no, not licensed yet. She's I can't even speak, Anna.
She's a marriage and family therapist.
Thank you.
She came on to just talk about the impact of our mental health as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's trying basically that everyday hustle and the impact it has on us. Mm-hmm. So we loved so much what Lauren had to say that we asked her to provide a question for each of our guests for the rest of this season, where we could just start the day with just kind of an introspective conversation that would let our viewing audience and podcast listeners and anyone who replays this just get to know our guests just a tiny bit more. So we have one for you today from Lauren.
Yeah. So what experiences have helped you to define success?
I think for me, having experiences where things haven't gone the way that I wanted them to, or, I've had failures or adversity, it's made me understand success at a different level, that success isn't always achieving exactly what you're hoping to, but figuring out something about yourself along the way. I know that I went to a college originally before I went to Virginia Tech that didn't work out for me. And I will say that it wasn't necessarily a failure, but it taught me all of the things that I needed in my life and things that helped me succeed both personally and professionally. And so I think that redefined that experience as potentially successful because I was able to learn things that I wouldn't have learned if I had just been in a situation that was easy for me. So I think there's many of those experiences. Miss America has been one of those experiences that's pushed me to understand more about who I am and what I need in my life. So that's kind of redefined my idea of success.
I love that. I love that you're saying that part of that journey is finding out something about yourself that you didn't expect to know. Yeah. And that really, I love that you include that as part of your definition for finding success. That's great.
It makes it a lot easier to be successful too, because you don't always, and I think that's I could go on a rant about this, but I think our society often puts so much pressure on people to be successful and reach a certain amount of accolades and do all of these things, but it's not always realistic. And then we're assuming that we're going to be perfect all the time. And we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment, honestly. So if we keep ourselves in a realistic place and we think about all of the little successes along the way, we're going to just be in a much more positive mindset.
Yes, that's so true. And it really does. It bears more. And when you have a more positive mindset, then just in general, life goes better. like your personal relationships, your business, how you feel about yourself, your eating habits, all of those things that are tied into your positive self-image, right?
Absolutely. It's all connected. And that's, I've learned that. I'm not old enough to have the wisdom for a lot of it, but in my short period of time, really since high school, I've learned a lot through a lot of really difficult situations. And I feel like I've had a crash course in life in the last like 6 years. And I've learned a lot. So it's one of the things I'm really passionate about talking to young people about, especially who go through difficult situations and struggle and are not able to see the successes that they have. So reminding them of that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you use the platform that you were given to like find those opportunities for others. And like, you're really helping their mental health. You know what I mean? Like you're improving that state, that, you know, all the things that. So, thanks, Camille. That was a great thing. What's going on, Anna? What's next?
Oh, I just was there. We got a question, but we're going to hold it, Heather's question, until a little bit later in the show. So I just was scanning it really quickly. But no, yes, I totally agree with what you said. So what a good way to start our day, right? Like that's, according to Miss America, that's how you're going to find success, folks, right? And as the older version of wiser women, Selena and I, you've got it right.
Thanks.
So, okay, parts of me is like I'm older. I don't know if I'm wiser, but I'm older and more experienced in that sense. But I'm
just going to give us that wiser title just because, right? If you have to be older to be wiser as well.
For sure. Okay. Why don't we bring up that toolkit calendar?
Yeah, let's bring up the toolkit
that we want to discuss.
I had a quick conversation with Camille earlier this week, and I asked her, what applications she uses that are like integral to her maintaining her life. And this is the first one that popped out of her mouth was Google Calendar. So you have something to say, Camille? What do you love about Google Calendar?
This is really a funny thing that I use now because for so long, and I literally have it here, I only use paper calendars, usually. Because I'm crazy and I like writing things down and color coding everything. But when I won Miss America, and honestly, when I started as Miss Virginia, it became impossible to use paper. And so I had to transition into this digital calendar piece. And, my entire schedule, you guys got to meet Miss Ashley, who manages a lot of what I do in my events. And so now everything I do is on Google Calendar. And it's like the way that I'm able to organize all of the chaotic projects that I'm working on. And so I see that first question, do you have more than one calendar? I have like 5 different email accounts. And so all of the different email accounts with the events are on the one calendar. And if I didn't have that, I think I would lose it. And also gives me a reminder like 15 and 45 minutes before I have to do something. And it's one of those things that I'm one of those like apocalyptic people that was like, well, what if the cloud goes away? I won't know. But I need it. So I think that, as I transitioned back into my graduate program last year or 2 years ago now, when I was in my first year, I did everything in paper because I was like afraid to use the digital platform of, managing my schedule online. And I think I'm going to end up doing it digitally now. So it seems like something that, it's an obvious thing to say that like we rely on, but I quite literally, if it went away, if the apocalypse happened, I don't know what I would do.
Yes.
It's so true. So I was a paper planner just like you. A year ago is when I was like, all right, it's too much. Like I cannot, first of all, I can't fit it all on my little tiny square for that day. That's the first problem. So I did also do the switch to Google Calendar under the tutelage of Selena, who was like, just jump on board. You're going to love it. It's going to save your life. And it's true. And since then, we put up a couple of fun little things here that Google Calendar offers. But yes, multiple calendars. You can have like a calendar dedicated to just birthdays of people in your life. And there's categories and you can click them on and off. So you can see those individual calendars only. It doesn't have to be all in one. So if you're not utilizing that function, use it. Some of the other things that we talked about is you can schedule meetings using suggested times or find a time, and it will scan everybody's Google Calendar and say if they're available, which is super helpful if you're in the business world, of course. And one of my favorite ones is you can add attachments to calendar events. Did you know that? A lot of people didn't know that. So add attachments. And then last but not least, for our mill spouses who watch our show, we are so ingrained in the mill spouse community. For our deployed loved ones, you have a world clock. So as you're scheduling things, you can see what time it is for your soldier that's in Afghanistan or Iraq or Kuwait or wherever they might be, or family members that are living in Germany or other places around the world. So anyway, just a couple of fun little tips and tricks for Google Calendar that if you're not utilizing, there's so much more than just putting down a time and a date for something you have to do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I use all those functions too, the attachments, all the things. And then especially as Miss America with all the different time zones, that's been confusing, but also having that function has made it a lot easier so that if I have a meeting with somebody on the West Coast digitally, that everything's aligned and I know where I'm supposed to be.
Yes. So Becky's asking, can you customize? And Becky, the answer is yes. You can customize pretty much everything in Google Calendar. Your different calendars can have color codes attached to them. So as they show up on your main calendar, it's color coded so you know what's what. I mean, there's a ton of functions. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to Selena and I individually, like behind the scenes, and we'd be happy to kind of help navigate you through some of that. And then I just have to post one more, which made me laugh. So John says, Camille, if the cloud goes down, society's going to end, packs of wild dogs roaming the street. The world will be over.
It's funny because a lot of people my age, I think, are so digitally oriented, but I am that old person. I think everyone always jokes that I'm like 80 in a 25-year-old's body, that like I am like, well, I put my money under the mattress kind of person, like use paper calendars. What happens if everything goes away? But I need to get with the times. So it's definitely been a tool that I've really relied on this year and will continue to.
That's awesome. Selena, you're muted. For some reason, we can't hear you talking right now. So while we wait for her to get back on. All right. So now we move into the portion of our conversation. Oh, are you back?
Okay. I don't know what's happening. I think Friday, it's like StreamYard is like, first of all, it's Friday. What's happening? Normally, right? I'm like, but okay. Wait, one funny thing I wanted to share. When I first started using Google Calendar, Camille had said like, it does auto change the time zone, so you don't have to worry about it. I didn't know that. And I have some clients in Hawaii. So I'm like, okay, what is the backwards planning? So I set the time based on what I thought. And so the client, she was an influencer and she's so fun. She goes, so is our meeting at 3 a.m. in Hawaii? Like, is that what's happening? And I'm like, no, you should have got it for this. I had no idea that it kept, so even though I kept changing it, she's like, okay, no, now it's at 4 a.m. And I'm like, I quit. I don't get it. Now I get it. So
that's too funny.
Yeah. All right.
It's harder than us sometimes.
Yes. So I get it. Camille, you and my grandma would probably like have coffee and just talk about them youngins that like try to do all the fancy schmancy stuff, So
I like simple things.
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay, Anna, let's move into like let's start it. We got a busy lady. We know we're not the only thing on her calendar today.
What do you mean? Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, so Camille, we're gonna kind of get into the question portion of our conversation. So one of the things I was most impressed with when I started to kind of dig into who you were and all of that really was your science project talent. And I know that's kind of what you're known for, right? That's one of the big, different, unique, special talents. I mean, it was different than any other talent that had ever been on a Miss America competition. People loved how different it was. And ultimately, you won all the talent competitions and the crown at some point. So you really showcased, in my opinion, who you are and being okay with being different and not having to do something that everybody else had done, and not that those aren't just not that those aren't fantastic, amazing talents, but that those weren't your talent. And so instead of trying to fit in with what was the norm, you chose to do something totally and completely different. So our first question for you is, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs or just people in general, but this is a business show, so entrepreneurs that are feeling unsure about trying something new or being that different person?
Yeah. I love that you are able to, you recognize the fact that the other talents that women have at Miss America are so amazing. And that was one of the things that I didn't want to take away from with what I did, because I love that women can sing and dance and do all of those traditional fine arts talents. And I didn't want to discredit that, but also show that I could do something different and it was also successful. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I focus on, and I'm glad that you asked me this in a business context, because I think that a lot of what I think about when I do this talent is marketing, right? So I'm trying to be hired for a job. I'm trying to prove why my product is better than everybody else's product. And if you think about trying something new, taking a risk, it's like creating a very innovative new product. And it's flashy and it's shiny and it's new and it makes people want to buy it or watch it. And so doing something different is often what sets you apart in the market. And it's what gives you the opportunity to even maybe tap into a new market. So as Miss America, there were many clients that wanted to work with me who would have never booked Miss America in the past, because that product, which is honestly Miss America is the product that we offer, that product was not aligned with their organization. So I did something different and I tapped into an entire new market for our product. Yeah. So that's often how I think about my role as Miss America, because in some sense I am a product, but that's really how we function as entrepreneurs. We have to look at ourselves from a product perspective. What need am I solving in the market? What market am I looking at? And so I think that doing something completely different for the talent really brought a whole new light into what I do. And oftentimes I've done that demonstration at corporate events. I have done probably hundreds of science demonstrations this year for a variety of clients, from schools to corporate organizations. And it's been so cool. So that's definitely, don't be afraid to try something different. I'm kind of that person that's afraid to try things that are different sometimes. But I also never go with the norm. I've always done things a little bit differently, but taking a risk is something that kind of can be scary for me. So it was a great way for me to kind of do both.
Yeah, I would even extend that out and say, even more than businesses booking Miss America, you reached a whole new audience for Miss America, because there are a lot of children who admire Miss America, and some of them have that singing, dancing, and they're very pretty, and others that are like, well, I love to read books and do science projects and build hovercrafts and put Legos together. And I think you tapped into a whole new base of, I'm going to call it the fan base, but really it is that admiration for achieving, going after your dreams and really just going for it. And that's kind of what you did. You just said, I love science. Here's what I'm going to do. I love that.
Absolutely. And I think that for a lot of kids who feel like they're different, I was always the kid that was a little bit different than all of my friends. And for that young person who feels a little different, that they can look at me and say, well, she was a little bit different and she still won Miss America. And to allow them to know that that's okay, that they're different, that they don't have to be like all their friends. Yeah. That was something that was kind of a subtle message through what I've done. And I always remind kids about that, because for a lot of students and young people, and honestly adults too, we often feel pressured into being like all the people around us. But to see that sometimes success comes from being different can be a really important message for them.
Yes, no.
We can give you a clap. Yay.
Yeah, that's exactly what we knew you would say something like that. You know what I mean? And that's amazing. And I think it is. And I hope everybody that is just starting out a business, or if they're a mom and they want their kids to you know what I mean? It is okay to, if you have an idea and it's not flowing the same way that all the other fishes are swimming, that it is definitely, try it, right? You never know.
Yeah.
The only guaranteed no is when you don't try it.
Exactly. And it still would have been, like, to go back to what we talked about in the beginning, I think it still would have been successful even if I didn't win. I still would have been showing that it's totally okay to be yourself and showing that you could do something different. And it's not necessarily the fact that I won using the demonstration that is as important as the fact that I just did it. Right. So to think about like all of those different things, that it wasn't the winning that was the success. It was the fact that I went out and I showed people that science is cool. So all of those things. But it was just a cool benefit that I also won. And I won the talent competitions at Miss America and Miss Virginia, which was particularly interesting because I always said that I couldn't be Miss America because I didn't have a talent. So to win the talent competition was like kind of like mind-boggling, blowing, and it was funny because I just never expected to have that happen. I mean, I was just hoping that it would help advance me to the next round.
Right.
It turned out that I got some extra scholarship money for it.
Which is so great. I think, so a follow-on question to that, let me just ask you this. Do you feel like we should seek out those opportunities to be different, or just let it come, like, obviously they're going to come naturally, but should you, if you are feeling that way, if you feel like you have something unique about you, do you feel like we should seek those out, like promote ourselves in that way?
I think it has to be authentic, number one. You don't want to push yourself in a place where it doesn't feel true to who you are, or it feels like forced, because I think that a lot of people can sense that. Nobody wants something that's forced. People want things that are real to who you are. And this situation was 100% real to who I am. I've always been that nerd science kid. But I do think that you should identify what are some unique things that you can offer. And especially if we're thinking from a business perspective, to be creative and innovative, finding innovative solutions are really important. But never doing something that's so forced that it doesn't feel real to who you are. So yes and no, it depends on the situation.
Yeah. I am curious to see because you were willing to step out of the box, I am curious to see what future Miss America competitions will look like. And if we'll start to see some more unique, I don't know if I'm using the right words, but some different types of talents than have been traditional in the past, you know, like anyway, it'll be fun to kind of watch that process as it changes and evolves, because you kind of were the catalyst for that change.
Yeah. You use a science term too, a catalyst.
I know. I've been studying up for this.
The funny thing, Anna, also is that in the past, it wasn't always just singing and dancing and baton twirling. So we had Miss America 1948 come and speak to us, she's still with us. She spoke when we were there at the competition, and she talked about how her year, I think it was Miss Montana, rode her horse on stage, and the horse almost fell into the orchestra pit.
Oh, no.
And that was the catalyst to the no live animals on stage. So there were women in the past that did really unique things, like packing a suitcase. Some women brought some like fashion design type things out on stage. And I would say that probably in the last 30 years, it's become more of that limited perspective of what talent is. But it wasn't always like that, because this is a 100-year-old organization. So it's been cool to break it open. And there are some other women who have tried. Even actually Miss Vermont in 2015 did the same science demonstration that I did. And so I kind of followed in her footsteps. So I'm not the first one to bring science to Miss America, but I'm the first Miss America to win with it.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's just really, really cool. And I hope that there's plenty of other people that follow in our footsteps as well.
I love that you said, well, riding the horse, clearly that one is very unique, but even like packing a suitcase, right? Like what I think, just those examples that you gave really open it up to, like, when you're looking at yourself as a human being, the
what
talent,
are you good at?
It's what are you good at? And if you're, I mean, my husband can Tetris pack a car like no other when we're road tripping. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, how did you fit all of that into that tiny space? Well, you put this here and that there, and duffel bags fit on the side. Like, it's like this like science in his head for he can see this thing, the way to do it, you know? And I consider that to be a huge talent. I mean, it's fantastic because first of all, I don't have to pack the car, but second of all, everything I want to bring always finds a way to fit into it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're funny. Well, hey Anna, why don't we bring in some of the questions that were coming in that I think let's bring in, I think Heather's is a good, right? Like,
yeah, you want me to pop it in really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's Heather's question. Pharmacists are traditionally men, although women are quickly becoming a stronger presence. Being a surgeon, I found overcoming the gender stereotypes has had to be a daily mission to change the culture of medicine. How do you feel you have planned to combat the stereotypes you will face in a male-dominated career field?
That's a really, really good question. And Heather, what's really interesting is that now pharmacy is becoming female-dominated. So I actually have a greater percentage of females in my class. Well, the cohort that I was previously with, I have to change cohorts now. But my pharmacy school is female dominated now, which is really, really cool.
That's so awesome.
And now pharmacy is becoming one of the few female dominated STEM professions, which is just really cool to be a part of. But I've often heard stories from women who make it into, you know, hospital pharmacy. They've maybe done a residency and they're like the pharmacist on staff in the hospital. And someone will call the pharmacy and say, well, I want to speak to the pharmacist, because they hear a female voice on the other phone.
Right.
And they're like, hi, I am the pharmacist. And so it's frustrating. But one of the things that I always talk to women about who are facing career fields that are potentially male dominated is my approach, and this could be different for each person, but my approach is to walk into the situation with the assumption that you're going to be treated with the same amount of respect and equality as any other person. I think sometimes if we go in with the idea that, okay, I'm expecting to be treated differently, then we act a little bit differently. And to focus on the skills and talents and experience that we have and prove that just by what we do every day, not like announcing I've done this and this and this, but do your job, do it amazing, do it to the best of your ability, because you're going to then set the precedent to say, well, this woman, she does the job better than everybody else in the unit. And so, wow, like there's respect. So we get to set that precedent, but it's unfortunate. There are situations where we don't necessarily always get the same respect, but I will say that as a 25-year-old woman in STEM, I have very rarely felt that I've been treated differently as a woman in STEM. And for that, I'm really, really grateful. I think that the culture is really changing. Now, I haven't gotten into actually working in the medical field yet because I'm still a student. So it remains to be seen the experience that I have. But I think that we are well on our way to having an equal respect. But I cannot imagine being a woman surgeon. I'm sure that feels very different in an especially male-dominated place. So
yeah, she's Army too, so that just doubles the male domination right there. You know,
I can't imagine.
More men than women in the. Well, I mean, Heather, I don't know if she's Army or Air Force. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Awesome. Tell us in the comments, Heather.
Yeah. For that. But I know she's in the military, so that right there just like doubles the male domination.
It does.
Anything.
We just have to change the culture. And to that point also, and I could talk about this again all day, one of the things that I focus on when I do a lot of my STEM outreach, I go into schools and they want to put me with only girls. They're like, oh, you can be with all the girls. And I'm like, that defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Because we need the little boys to also see the adult woman in STEM. Because for their jobs, they're going to need to see that it's totally normal for girls to do science too. Yeah. And for girls to be in medicine and all of these different things. So that's one of the things that I always focus on is don't just talk about STEM and, you know, do these like science princess activities with little girls, which is cool. It's totally fun.
Right.
But your boys need to see that too, because if we're going to change the culture and mindset, it has to include the boys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love what you said about when you walk into a situation where maybe you are the underpopulated group, that the idea is you walk in with that confidence of, I am the bomb. I'm the bomb diggity, and this is going to go well. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. And I think that self-confidence, even if you don't maybe possibly feel that, internally to its greatest potential. But if you're walking saying that to yourself, that self-affirmation, how much easier it is to just change whatever climate is in there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you then stop looking for all of the different ways that, are they treating me differently because I'm X, Y, or Z? And you're focused on doing your job to the best of its ability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been something that I've kind of gone with. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why I've had such a good experience in STEM so far, is that I don't feel like I'm looking for ways that I'm treated differently. But I'm very cognizant that there are very obvious situations where women who have different experiences than I do that have had really difficult situations. And I'm grateful that I've not had that yet, but who knows what will happen.
I want to share, just when we talk about that, the female dominated, male dominated. So like, because I'm older, I'm not 25. I wish I was. But I became a manager in the restaurant industry. And there was a moment where it was mostly like males were our managers. And so I was a female on an all male team at one point. And at one point, it was almost all females. So it was great. But I remember we had our huge VP from the corporate office from Florida come down to Hawaii. And I was just that female running kind of behind the scenes doing the thing. And he stopped me in our back kitchen, and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know you're really good." And then he left. And it just took a moment for me to realize, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I had put myself also in that place, but like, it was an encouragement to know, like, hey, I'm good enough to be part of anything. And, but, don't put ourselves in that, like that, and so I just loved it. I loved it. And it really helped kind of, so if you need a person that needs to tell you you're gonna, Camille just said it. I'm saying it for you too, but you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you need someone to stop you and just say, hey, like, don't stop, keep going. You do great no matter what you are, Yeah,
absolutely.
So anyway, just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, wait, I just wanted to bring in a couple. Well, we're just going to go through our comments real fast so they can all say hello to you. Sharon says, good morning.
Good morning.
We have Jenna Day wants to totally ride a horse on stage.
Me too. Me too.
The rules.
Right? Allie, she loves what you said, Camille. Success does come from being different. We have Amy here that says, we love our Miss America, Camille Schrier. And then we have Anita. I love her. And actually one of her daughter got to meet you because her daughter volunteered for the Runway of Hope. And so they were part of it. And they just absolutely loved you. They thought you were like the coolest. Like, they were like, she's so cool. Like, I mean, whatever, however teenagers talk, but you know what I mean?
I don't even know how teenagers talk anymore. They do the TikToks.
They do the TikToks. You're funny. Jacob, he's throwing down some lessons because he's pretty smart too. Let's see what else here. I just want to make sure people that wanted to say hi. Oh, look.
Oh, that's my mom. Hi,
I
Mom.
love it.
Hi, Mom. We love having Mom on here.
I think that's it. Okay, should we move on to the next
question? Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay.
So, Selena, why don't you take our next question for us?
Yes. Okay. So being a Miss America is your job right now, as you had mentioned earlier, and a very unique opportunity. How are you going to use Miss America 2020 as a jumping off point for your future?
Oh, goodness.
I know.
I think the biggest thing is that people don't always recognize that one of my main jobs as Miss America is to promote my own social impact initiative. And so mine is Mind Your Meds, drug safety and abuse prevention from pediatrics to geriatrics, which is a really long name. But I do a lot with medication safety and substance use disorders and prevention of those. So I'm a pharmacy student. So what I've gotten to work on this entire year has basically been experiential learning for my career. And that was not strategically planned, but I'm really glad that what I chose to work on was career related, because it just gave me the opportunity to work on kind of extracurricular activities that had to do with my career and will supplement the experience that I have this year. So it's really given me such a cool opportunity to literally have an internship this year, basically. So that's probably the number one way that I'm using Miss America as a way to further my career.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I have to go back to school and finish my degree
Right.
now. But it's given me a very different perspective. It's given me a lot more understanding of people who, you know, have medication errors, people that take medications, people that find themselves in an addiction place or have family members who are facing substance use disorder. It's made me have a better understanding. And so I think that that's kind of where Miss America has been the biggest jumping point for the rest of my career, but also just given me a lot more experience as a human, life experience, communication experience, public speaking experience. So all good things, but you know, got to finish the degree and then there.
I like, you know what I think you said, like, I feel like I'm the same person, but it's seeking opportunities when you're given a chance to be in this area or this area. And I know I not an opportunistic in a narcissist way, but like really saying, hey, I want to optimize and make sure. And I think that is so smart. What you said is okay, I'm going to use this so that I know it's long term and like what I'm doing. And so now you get to be in this very like awesome area where you can make a big, like you said, a big impact moving forward, right? So oh my gosh, love that. Okay.
I have Camille, quick, just kind of a follow on a little bit to what you were talking about before. You were saying, you know, it's this has been like an internship year for you, where you've been able, where you've been able to kind of do what you're planning to do for your profession a little bit. So is there any one thing that's you've been able to participate in or an experience you've had that stands out that has surprised you, where you were like, that was not the expected, that was not what I was thinking this was actually like, or, you know, I know when I interned for the first time, I was like, retail, this is not for me.
I'm trying to think if I have an example. I don't think that anything has like really surprised me in terms of like career related things, but I guess one of the things that is the most impactful that kind of has been the thing that I'm going to carry on the most is actually understanding the complexity of a lot of the people that face addiction and substance use disorders, the complexity that goes into recovery and understanding, you know, even just from like getting into treatment, getting employment, reintegrating into society, the stigmas that are associated with a lot of this was not something I learned in school. And frankly, I only have been in pharmacy school for 1 year, so that might come later. But understanding how the real struggles that people face, understanding, especially as Miss Virginia, when I started to travel around the state of Virginia and saw students that absolutely did not have the same resources that I had growing up, communities that didn't even have internet access. I couldn't even get a GPS signal. I would go to the schools. I really started to understand some of the problems and frankly, just gave me more empathy for people that just really grew up with a different background than I did. And it wasn't something that I ever saw firsthand until I did this job. And so when I go into my career and I'm starting to think about different problems that don't necessarily affect me, but now that I've seen affect other people. And I think that that's something that's really important for all of us to understand. I'm really lucky to have grown up with the resources that I did have. And I wasn't always in a place to be able to see the people that were different than me. And I definitely got to see that. So I think that that's kind of the most eye-opening moment that I've had throughout this process. But nothing that's really surprised me too much. The job of Miss America is an interesting one, and it's so dynamic. I mean, I go through like some days I'm very glamorous on like a TV interview, and then the next day I'm like in school with a bunch of elementary kids, and so it's really variable. But nothing has been too surprising.
I think it sounds like a ton of fun, but I think your message is super smart, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Her 12-year-old
So sweet.
Yeah. Yes. So I love what you said about just recognizing that maybe not everybody's had the same experience. So when you are, and in business, that's the same thing. Like, I think moving outside of your little tiny world and making sure you understand like the bigger picture is so important. To be able to relate to clients or customers or just people in your community and building that. I mean, because that's really, for me, that's super important, right? Building community is super important. So
no, I think too, like just how you say, I think it's recognizing that there's a difference and then acknowledging it, because then in the back of your mind, you're going to know, like, if there is a chance to change it or give somebody an opportunity, I'm more cognizant of it. Because then you make different decisions, right? Like you said.
For all of us. And just especially from a business perspective, thinking about the struggles that potentially your clients or customers have that maybe you don't have and you don't think of until you end up in a situation where you're like, well, that could be a problem for someone. As simple as, cable and internet access. Well, part of my client base maybe doesn't have access to that, or certain different things that, where I grew up, I would have never thought of that. But now understanding that, the different resources is just a huge piece of what I now understand and would be relevant to a business as well.
Yeah. No. Super. Yes. I mean, yes. I think we're nearing the end.
I know. It's I can't believe it's already been 50 minutes. It doesn't feel like it to me. But that's because I love our 15 minutes. So easy to talk to. It's that is really one of your talents. You are such a kind personality. I just like, that's so great. So Camille, let's chat for longer. Let's
I know. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we want to show, okay, obviously you see how amazing Camille is. So we want to make sure to follow her, see, where all of her adventures go on to. She's at all those places. Camille, like, tell them, like, where do you go? Where do you want them to be?
You all can follow me as I continue on through my whole process of being Camille and also going back to school too now in 2021. So I'm on all these different social channels, probably the most on Instagram and Facebook. And then if you want to connect with me professionally, LinkedIn is a great place to do that. I have some science videos on my YouTube. More will be coming there. So if you want to watch that science content, I just made a TikTok. I'm trying to get with the times, with the kids, with the young people. So I made a science TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok. But it's a fun way to be able to connect with people. Social has become a huge part of what I do now. And I try to share what I'm doing. I probably could share more, but if you want to follow for pictures of my dogs, make sure to, my dog, please make sure to follow.
Her dog is so cute. Roxy's so cute.
She's so good. I love her. She just experienced her first snow yesterday, and she was thrilled.
Did she pat at it, like paw at it a little bit? Like, what the heck is this cold, wet stuff under me?
She romped in it. She was like jumping around and like doing the zoomies. And I was like, ma'am, I cannot keep up with you right now. She was just crazy. So she loves it, but she's just a good girl.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Well, see, as you can all see, like totally down to earth, fun, just normal lady, normal human being. This is one of the reasons why we loved Camille, why we were so excited to have her on our show. So a few final comments before we close. We've got Jenna here that says, you're amazing. Thank you for sharing your talents and energy. Oh, mom came back on. She's patiently waiting for you.
My mom's downstairs with the dog right now.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, right. We've got Kat who says hello to you. And then Sharon who says share a positive outcome with someone that was based off of some of the conversation that we were having. So it's just nice to hear that people are appreciating what you have to say and hopefully taking it to heart. Because I think this was a good, like, feel good coffee chat where you know, if you don't walk away from this infused with positivity, I don't know how I could help you in that.
Right. Hi, Tyra.
So okay. So just our call to action this week for everybody who's out there listening. We want to know, what is your standout talent?
Got you.
So think about it. Remember, we talked about packing a suitcase or a road trip in a car. Those can be standout talents. So if you
are riding a horse on a stage.
Yes, riding a horse. Getting your hair curled exactly right. Or let me tell you one that I recently discovered with this Runway of Hope thing is like the makeup thing. Like, I am no good at that. And these women are like whipping it out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you made me look like $1 million, like in 30.
That is artistry at its finest, for sure. Because I can't do a cat thing. What do you call them things, Camille and Anna? Yeah, it never looks even. One looks like I punched one eye out while the other is confused.
It is a talent.
Yeah, it is a talent. So,
oh
my gosh.
Whatever it is, we want to hear about it. So pop it in the comments or put it on your social media page and make it your post for the day and tag us with the hashtag 15ish MCC so we can find you, pull you out. You never know when you're going to be featured in one of our shows. And then don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and make sure to subscribe so you can get all of our weekly coffee chats.
Right.
We have one more coffee chat this year, and then we're done for this season, and you won't see us again until mid-January. So
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of let you know, next week we're going to bring on Caitlin Eldridge of Eldridge CPA LLC. So she is a finance whiz who will take your accounting and then make it into a story for your business. And she's so good at what she does. It's a story that you want to tell. Profitability, and she's just super smart with numbers. So if you've been wanting to ask some questions or know more about finances when you're starting or running a small to medium-sized business, it's going to be a really good coffee. And that's on Monday. That's like 3 days from now. So put it on your Google calendar and put a big yellow highlight across it.
Right, for sure. I mean, it's funny that we surround ourselves. I'm like, we have a science whiz, a nerd, as she likes to say, because I really suck at being science. And then Caitlin next week, who is a math whiz. I mean, I can count change like back to a customer in a restaurant setting, but that's kind of where it stops, So
too funny.
It's good that we surround ourselves. But Camille, thank you so much. Give our hugs also to Ashley, because she's also amazing, and our time with you was amazing, and we cannot wait to see all the greatness that is going to come out of your space.
Yes, I have followed every single one of those social media links that you posted up there. So I'm like, there's no way I won't at some point hear what Camille's doing next.
Yeah, right.
Thank you guys for having me, and I hope that I can come and see you all again very soon.
Yes,
so we'll have
that. Sure.
But for now, I'm glad that I can see your faces virtually.
Yes. Thanks, Camille. All right, everybody.
Have a happy holiday too.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.